All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking about real music in real time for real people just like you, just like me. So Brian May has decided to call Eric Clapton a fruitcake. Another day, another rather authoritarian and uninformed and fairly unfair critique by a rock musician who apparently doesn't understand what an adverse event is, doesn't understand that Clapton actually did something that everybody told him he should do, and then he had problems. And then he's saying, maybe I shouldn't have done this. By the way, nobody knows what's going to happen a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, because nobody has studied those things, because you can't, you couldn't. To get this to where it is now, to get the thing out there, you couldn't actually do a long-term study. Just putting it out there because a lot of people just think, just do it. What's your hang up? And it's like there's this tunnel that you're not supposed to look to either side. Well, Eric Clapton had a bad experience. Well, it's rare. This is the thing. It's really rare. It never happens. There's a whole database, or several databases. There's one here in the United States and one over in Europe that I know about, and I'm sure there are others, where the information isn't exactly going to the public every day. The news media is not banging down the doors of those data collection facilities to try to broadcast the truth to the American people or to the European community. So Brian May, who, good guitar player, is, I guess, not really interested in someone else's own personal story or experience. Just call names. I mean, this is a typical cult, like it's cultish. It's cultish to start calling people names, to discredit them, to make them look bad, rather than argue on the merits of what Clapton said. By the way, Clapton did a documentary via Oracle Films. I'll try to remember to put the link into the description of this video. I may forget. So, I'm getting older and I'm getting worried. I'm just worried and hung up every day on what I'm hearing, and the noise level, the hysteria, the panic of it, it's getting greater and greater and greater. And yes, I understand. It's a weird thing to be in the middle of the summer and have something like this start to spike out of control. And I'm wondering if there's a cause and effect there when they started handing out the CVS, Walgreens, Publix thing that you're supposed to do. And we've been doing that now for a few months. And now we've got just the biggest outbreak now, right? The biggest. So is there a correlation? Would anyone like to do some investigative journalism? Probably not. Look, Brian May is just interested in, the party line. And when I say party, I mean, it's like the uniparty. It's like the world global party where everybody just thinks alike. Again, very cultic. Critical thinking is not encouraged. If you ask questions like, hey, I did the thing, so why do I have to wear the garment that says that I'm in the club? Because that's what this is about. One of the things that I read in this book by Stephen Hassan is that typically cults require their members to wear an article of clothing. All right. So that was so spot on that, I kept reading, and you find out all of the rituals and all of sort of the protective language. They do not want you talking to outsiders. Don't talk to that person over there who had the reaction. Don't let Eric Clapton talk anymore. Shut him up somehow, because he's going against what the cult says. Folks, I'm sorry. The more I do research, the more I open my mind up to other possibilities. the more I'm thinking there's a lot of reasonable doubt surrounding this, right? I mean, is this thing innocent until proven guilty? Or do we actually look at it the way the French do and say it's guilty until proven innocent? I hate to say that the French are right here, but on this particular issue, they are. Brian May ought to be ashamed of himself. Why even weigh in? Why even say this? Other than to do what I said what would happen to Clapton weeks ago. I said this was going to happen, and these people give me new stuff every day. Of course, I'm not getting millions of views over here. If I start to get millions of views, then all bets are off. Then they're probably going to start to come after me. Oh, here's another kook conspiracy theorist wearing a tinfoil hat talking about all these issues that he doesn't understand. No, I actually really do understand. It's the people who are skeptics typically in life who are far better informed, because their motivation is to dig and to find out the truth. Even if they're skeptically wrong, they still know more about a topic than someone who just takes it on face value, Brian May. Anyway, Eric Clapton doesn't deserve this. And he knew in the documentary, he said, people started coming after me. People who I respect and like started to actually, look at me in a different way. And I knew not only was I going against the narrative, but I was going against what everybody, lined up to do. And they continue to line up, and they continue to panic and yell and scream. And by the way, they're miserable. They're all very miserable people, and they want you to share in the fear, panic, and misery that they have. Look, life isn't about that. They'll say some stupid line about how, well, if you don't do what we say, you're just going to be dead. You'll be dead, and then we'll be right. You can't live your life, though, in perpetual fear, because there are a lot of things that can take you out, okay? And I've never seen one particular thing take up so much airtime and just so much emotional capital. I'm running out of emotional capital, and hence part of what I'm doing now is venting on this channel. When I see something like Brian May says Eric Clapton is a fruitcake. Eric Clapton's a fruitcake, really? Seems pretty reasonable to me. Doesn't seem like a fruitcake to me. But that's the prevailing narrative. In any event, I was going to talk about Gene Simmons, but that might be a separate video. Gene, a guy who should know better, whose family were actually involved with the Holocaust. He should know better, but he's saying some incredibly authoritarian things. And I just wonder, there is no spirit left in this industry. It's like Ted Nugent. And look, I don't agree with Ted Nugent on some of the things he says. I think he's a little goofy, he's a little cartoony, but doesn't mean he's not right about some stuff. Doesn't mean that it's just refreshing to hear a different argument, a different opinion. I mean, yeah, do we go down the conspiracy rabbit hole? Sure we do. But guess what? Not all conspiracies are wrong. Conspiracy theories aren't always wrong. And the people who just say that and just say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, as if to say, just dismiss it because it could never be true. Anyway, that's my video.